Hi letterers, it's Margaret from the Lettering Lodge, back again today with another hand lettering video tutorial. Today's quote is, "Make today an adventure," so let's get to it. I'm creating my canvas. I'm going to do a square canvas like I always tend to do for these kinds of projects. And the first thing I always like to do is go to my sketching brushes, pick a pencil. The 6B pencil is fine, any pencil will do. And I'm going to go ahead and sketch out my layout. Like I said, my quote today is, "Make today an adventure." So I think I want today to be in brush lettering. And so I'm just going to go ahead and really roughly sketch. Oh, I accidentally tapped that, and so it undid my action. I'm going to have today in brush lettering in the middle. I think I want adventure to also be in brush lettering, but probably in all caps towards the bottom. So something like, I haven't done enough yet with all caps brush lettering. And so with this pencil, you're not able to see what the final product will look like because the up strokes are the same width about as the down strokes, but I think it will turn out really well at the end. I think I want make to be kind of a mix of capitals and lowercase maybe. So maybe something like uppercase for a couple letters, maybe like a lowercase k, and then back to an uppercase for E, something like that. And then I'll probably do an in brush lettering with maybe some kind of graphic there just to take up some space. All right, so I've got my sketch. It's obviously very rough. I am just using that as a general layout idea so that when I go back later, I kind of know where to place my letters. So I'm not too worried about how it looks yet. I'm going to go into my layers. I actually just learned, let me teach you guys. One of my next blog posts is going to be a list of Procreate gestures to save you some time. And so I just learned in my research about one. Let me try it and see if it works. If you, on the layer, use 2 fingers to tap on the layer, it brings you right to your opacity settings without having to do about 3 different buttons and actions to get to this screen. So let me show you that again. I'm on my layers. I know you can't see my fingers, but I am 2-finger tapping on that layer. And now I can immediately slide to adjust that opacity. I'm going to have to start using that more because I use the opacity settings all the time when I am brush lettering so that I can perfect each layer on top of one another. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer so that I can start my project now that I've sketched it out. I'm going to go to my set of TLL Basics, the Lettering Lodge Basic brushes. These are for sale on my website. I'll put a link in the description. I want this project to be bold. I want the downstrokes to be really thick and also the upstrokes to not be too thin. So I'm going to use my TLL Bolder brush pen. It's just a little bit thicker than my regular brush pen. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the word today. If I do today first, then I can kind of bounce some other letters around that word. And so let's check the size. I think I want it a little bigger. Let's see. Something like that. This is just the first go at it. Does not have to be perfect yet. We're just kind of getting our layout. Okay, so there's the word today on a new layer. Always on a new layer. This part, I might have to be doing some undo and redo because like I mentioned earlier in the video, I haven't done enough with uppercase brush lettering yet, and I need to practice that more. I have been practicing it, but I am not as comfortable with it as I am with the lowercase. So we'll see. I might be doing a lot of undoing and redoing, so we'll see. The important thing to remember is that just like the lowercase, your upstrokes are thin and your downstrokes are thick. So let me just get to it. Let's see how it goes. I am on a new layer. Yes, I am. Here we go. I have to focus more on what I'm doing, so I might not talk quite as much in this portion of the, let's see. I'm going to just go for that for right now. We'll get the spacing done, and then if I want to perfect any letters later, I definitely can do that. So down, thick, up, thin. And you know what? I think I'm going to, and one thing that's really helpful for me, and it might be helpful for you, is to give myself some guidelines. And so one way to do that is just to use a mono brush to quick line it. And if you have a quick line created and you haven't picked it up yet, and then you use a different finger, like I like to use my left hand, my index finger, to tap the screen, it kind of jumps to straight across that canvas. And so that's one way to get a really, oh goodness, it helps if you pick up your pen before you pick up your finger. There you go. And then another one down here maybe. I could have also done my grid brush like I do in some of my videos. That would have been just as good of an idea. I just thought, since I really only care about the top of my letters and the bottom, I really only needed those 2 lines for now. Okay, so now I'm going to resize my letter A to kind of better fit in. I'm going to change it to freeform so that I have more control over exactly where it is. And now I have a guideline for my base. Oh, I need to switch back to my bolder brush. There we go, and I am on the correct layer. So let's see if that helps any. And I might be doing these letters too big, but that, of course, on a iPad is easy to fix. I find on my uppercase E's that if I do my strokes this way, the end always looks weird. But if I start my middle line of my E on the right side and go back in, then it tends to turn out a little bit better. So that's what I've been doing lately. Okay, in, thick strokes on the way down, thin strokes on the way up. Always, always. Let's see, I don't want any quick lines created on my brush lettering here. And it looks like I was writing just a little bit too big, so I can select my layer, use the arrow at the top, and then just drag to make it a little bit smaller. Going to line it up with the top. You might notice that I didn't perfectly get my letters the exact same height, and I don't mind too much about that. I think that's the whole point of hand lettering at times, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. You do want a general guideline if you're trying to go for a fairly straight line. So now I need to move since I changed the size of my lettering, I need to move the bottom baseline that I drew earlier. So I've gone to my layer that has those lines on it. I've tapped my selection tool at the top. Now I can just draw a quick little, and I don't even have to really pay attention because those adventure letters aren't on this same layer. So I just draw a quick circle around that, select using the arrow at the top, and then I can bring up that line. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my layer where I was writing adventure and do the last 2 letters. Something like this. There we go. Okay, so there's the first go at it. I don't have to worry about my guidelines anymore. I'll just use that layer to be my guide. I'm going to move that over a little bit to center it on the page. And on a new layer, now I can try the word make and let's see. I want to go ahead and use the general spacing that I already had on my sketch layer, but now I'm focusing on those upstrokes and downstrokes. So let's see. Oh goodness. To get a good line at the end of the letters, do you see how it kind of gets smaller. So to get a good line at the end, you have to kind of hold your brush down, your pencil down. But then if you hold it down too long, then your quick line is created. There's actually a setting for that. Let me show you guys in case that's an annoying feature for y'all too. You can change, do you see that it says quick line delay? And I think this is the default. I don't think I've changed that, 0.65 seconds. So it might be helpful for you to increase that time by just a little bit to give yourself a little bit of leeway on when you have to pick up your pen. There we go, something like that. And I just want to fill that in a little bit. There we go, that's better. Okay, so something like this. I'll have to play around with the spacing. The A is almost touching the D, etc. But this first layer, we're good. New layer, and I'm going to try the word "and." So far, all of my tutorials I've combined, I think I'm right about this, I'll have to check later. So all of my tutorials so far I've combined brush lettering with print and block letters and other things. But sometimes it can look really good to just do the same font the entire time. What I'm doing here to create interest is the switching between lowercase and uppercase letters. So depends on what you're going for with each project, but there's lots of different ways to change that up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I said I was going to do, I think I like the hearts. I think that is the simplest, and also I think it will turn out well if I just do some hearts here. I like to draw hearts with a mono brush because then I don't have to worry about what pressure I'm using. Tapping and dragging to fill that in. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. Okay, and then get those little spaces that sometimes don't fill in all the way with the tap and drag. Okay, so I did that on a new layer, I think. Yes, I did. So now I can just select it, 3-finger swipe down to copy and paste it for the other side. Okay, so I've got my general layout done, I think, on a new layer. Let's see. I think I want that adventure to be about the same width as the rest of it. Maybe move it over just a little bit. And when I redo it, I might change my brush settings to be a little bit, not my settings, but my size to be bigger. Because you see, now that I've twice made it smaller, it's thinner than the rest of my artwork. And so I don't want that to happen. So we'll just make sure that the sizing looks better with the next layer. I'm going to go ahead and merge those layers together. I'm going to keep the hearts, actually. I don't need to keep redoing the hearts every time. So I'm going to merge the words, though, so that I can, let me try my trick again. I'm trying to get in the habit of using it. 2-finger tap on that layer, and I can quickly change the opacity. Turn my pencil layer off now that I'm done with that, and I need a new layer to start my next attempt at making this project look a little bit better. So I am going to go back to my Boulder brush pen and just go for it again and see how it's looking. Okay. Always new layer. I'm just going for it, guys. Let's see. Okay, I think I think on my, okay, let me show you that, why I'm deciding to redo that. I think I want my E to be a little bit farther away from my K to make the spacing a little easier on the eyes. And so I'm going to, when I redo this, I'm going to make my K come out a little bit farther, the tail of it. So let's try that instead. Something like that. And now my E can be a little bit farther apart. I think I like that better, but let's see. Maybe I do want it to be just a little bit taller. Let's try that. Something like that. Okay, let me try the word adventure. This is the word that takes me the longest because I haven't had as much practice with the uppercase. And it's obviously the longest word as well. So, I just realized I said earlier I was going to have to change the sizing of my brush, but I won't have to. It's already the right size as the other words I've done, of course. So, I'm just going to have to be careful about my spacing when I redo this word because now my brush is bigger than what I'm sketching on top of was. So, let's just see. I think D is my worst letter of all. I don't know why. I guess I need to do more practice. Some people do kind of a swish kind of thing inside of it, but D is always the one that I have to play with the most. I'm going to leave that for now. It's okay if the letters aren't perfect, but there are certain things I'm trying to do or avoid. I'm going to try that again. Okay, sometimes when I'm getting closer to the end of the word, I like to zoom out a little bit and hold on. I like to zoom out a little bit and make sure that my spacing, I've kind of at least mostly lined up my letters. Do you see how the space between the A and this line is the same as the space between the T and this line? So I know that V is a little bit smaller and things like that, but that's fine with me. You might not like it, but that is your prerogative to be able to say what you want for your projects. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I didn't make a new layer for that. I usually do. I would have if I had thought of it, but that's okay. This might not be my last layer anyway, my last attempt. Make today an adventure. Let's see. Okay, I like today and adventure. Make, I'm not so sure yet. I might, let's see. I think I will go ahead and go in this layer, select, draw around, make, select, 3-finger swipe down, copy and paste so that it is on its own layer. Oh, I should have done cut and paste. But I can just go back now with an eraser, make the brush size really big, and let's see, turn that one off so I can see what I'm erasing. Cut and paste would have been the quicker option, but there's always multiple ways to do things. Okay, so now I'm going to 2-finger tap, change the opacity on just that word make, and see if I can get myself to like that spacing just a little bit better. Today and adventure, those words are all non-bounced, not really bounced at all or much at all. But make, I think I want to bounce it a little bit so that it's got some interest. Also, the T and the D stick up, and so in order to not bounce it, I would have to have my word go straight across right there. So I think I'm going to have to bounce it. I think I'm going to like how it turns out. I just have to keep playing with it for just a little bit. So let's see. Maybe if I start my, oh, now I'm on that layer still. So I need a new layer. Maybe if I start my M in a little bit. I think I like that a little bit better, but maybe it's too big. I'll try on this next layer. Again, 2-finger tap, change the opacity. Sometimes you just have to keep doing the layers over and over. And now I'm turning my previous one off, leaving the one I just did on, and making a new layer on top of it. We'll just see. Maybe make it a little bit smaller would help. Okay, I think I'm starting to like it better. My A. I like the M, the K, and the E. So I don't have to keep redoing all the other ones. I'm just going to focus on my A now. I'm going to select the one I just did. I do have to be a tiny bit more careful since M and K and E are on the same layers. I'm going to 3-finger swipe down, cut and paste this time, and that way I can 2-finger tap, bring down the opacity on just that one, and a new layer. Guys, I don't usually have to do it this many times, or at least I haven't on the videos yet because I was trying to keep the videos short, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Let's see. Nope. Maybe smaller, shorter. Nope. I could try doing a lowercase. I think I'm going to like the lowercase better, which means I might need to go ahead and redo my K to get my tails to match up, or I can just undo that, go to my layer that does have the K on it, and erase the tail only, and that way when I connect it, it will be fine, no matter where I connect it. So, okay. So now on that new layer that I started, go back to my brush pen, and let's just see. Now I could move my M over a little bit. I'm going to keep playing with that for a second. I think that's what I'm going to do, is make that a little smaller, and then move my M over. So go back to my last layer that I did with the M, do my selection tool, draw around that one, and move it closer. Okay. I could keep playing with that to make it even better, but I think I'm liking it for now. I'm going to turn off that layer, going to start merging some layers so that I can see what I've got here. I'm going to go ahead and actually delete layers that I'm not using. I can merge layer 13 and layer 11 because that's my word make that I'm fairly satisfied with now. Let's see. I can delete former make layers. I think I think I'm going to redo my today word. I don't love some of the letters in there, so 2-finger tap, turn the opacity down, new layer. Let's just see if I can make me more happy. Okay, let's see. Turn off the other one. I wonder if I'm going to clear that layer. Oh, and I learned a new gesture for that too. If I want to clear what I just did, the whole layer I can go in here, tap the layer and press clear. Or while I just have that layer open, let me see if it still works. This might be an older gesture. Let's see. If you 3-finger tap and then move your fingers in a Z pattern while still holding on the screen, yeah, it clears that whole layer. So then you can start fresh. I think I want to try increasing my brush size just a little bit. Since this word is pretty big, it's okay if it's a little bit thicker. So let's just see how that changes things. Yeah, I think I like it being a little bit thicker. Okay, I'm gonna call that good for today, guys. I think I've hopefully given you a couple ideas. I'm gonna combine these layers that I've done, the ones I'm keeping. I could merge them, but let's see. I'm gonna get rid of that one that I'm not going to keep. I'm going to keep combining down until I have everything that I'm keeping. Okay, now is where I can select, since I have the group selected on my layers tab, now I can push my arrow to select all and kind of center that more on the page. I can also resize it if I want to have more white space. I'm going to undo that actually. Change it to magnetic so that it will help me line up. Now it's lined up horizontally. Let's see, there's vertically, somewhere around there. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there and call, you know what, there's maybe too much white space. I could add, let's see, sorry guys. I could try to do either like a fun, let's see. I could just do a thick mono line, like a corner. Let's see, thicker than that. And I'm just playing now, guys. But I feel like this is part of the process. If you don't like it yet, there's always something you can do to fix that. Okay, and then I'm just going to... So it's not a complete box. I think, yeah, I like how that turned out. It's not a complete box, but I stopped where the letters would have, run into it. Yeah, okay. And now I need that in my group. Select my whole group. And I can center that better now. I'm going to freeform it actually. Something like that. And I'm going to call that a day, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I usually put out videos every Friday. I am a third grade teacher, you might have known, and so this week I'm posting my video on a Saturday. This week was state testing for my sweet little third graders, so I am one day behind this week. Most Fridays is when I put out a nude video like this one. I also have some tutorials planned and posted already for other tips and tricks for Procreate. So